Well, today on the show, we're at Coast Hearing Aid Lab in the Norwood Village Shopping Center. How you doing, Nelson Garrett? It's been a long time.
Yeah, it's been a while. How you doing?
It's good to see you. And we're going to actually talk about, on this segment, we're going to talk about hearing loss, period, and about what can cause hearing loss, what you can do if you are suffering from hearing loss, how can you tell if you're having hearing loss. But I think we were talking here before is that about 45 million Americans suffer from some sort of hearing loss, and it can be helped if caught at the right time.
Yeah, it's important to catch it early because what'll happen is it's called auditory deprivation. Is if you don't use it, you lose it. So when there's two types of losses really. There's a conductive loss and sensorineural loss. Conductive is typically a medical condition, which is a very small percentage, around 5%, can be fixed medically. The other 95% is the sensorineural loss, which is nerve, and then there are several types of nerve loss, some age-related, some noise-induced. And at the end result, there's also a part, it's called word understanding, word discrim. People describe it differently. It's basically how well the words make it to your brain for processing with the proper amount of power or amplification. So if you let your hearing loss go too long, auditory deprivation kicks in, and next thing you know, you're down to 60–70% understanding, which means with the volumes there, 6 out of 10 words sound like words. The other 4 out of 10 words sound like mud or Charlie Brown's teacher.
Yeah, I remember.
Yeah, you turn that up as loud as you want, and it still sounds like Charlie Brown's teacher. Yeah. So if you catch the hearing loss early, you can retain your understanding. And in some cases, the understanding actually improves, but it's very seldom that happens. Usually we hope for retention to save your understanding. So it's really important to catch it early because it does make a difference in the long run. And there's plenty of studies show that the sooner you do something about it, the more you accept it as you get older, as your hearing loss progresses. You don't wait to the point where the hearing loss is horrible and expect miracles. It's a hearing aid. They're aids.
So majority of the adults, probably 40s, 50s is when they waste, and then again, it depends a lot on your surroundings. Could be the age or, is it hereditary?
There's a lot of hereditary losses. Majority of men, I would say, is probably noise-induced. We do our damage in our 20s, and we don't start feeling the effects until we're in our 40s. It usually takes 20, 30 years to feel the effects from noise exposure.
So all that loud music or
shooting guns.
I was going to say around here it could be shooting guns.
Yeah, a lot of shooting guns. Dove hunters are, they should wear earplugs and ear muffs. But there's so much sound. If it sounds loud enough, ear protection, simple plugs is not enough. You really need ear muffs.
Well, especially as you said, with dove hunters, because they're out there constant boom, 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 with those loud shotguns run after the other. And
you shoot 4 or 5 boxes of shells, you've done some work.
Yeah, not only on your ears, but on your shoulder too.
Yeah, that's true. And you get a little nugget, but that's fine. Well, I mean, the thing is, just don't let it go too long. It's really important to catch it early because if you let it go too long and you get down to that 40, 50, 60% understanding, it's really difficult to accept the technology. And as you get older, you tend to be less accepting of change anyway. And if you're 85 years old and you're trying to introduce hearing aids to somebody at that age for the first time,
it's not going to happen. And
their understanding's bad. It's just very difficult.
I was going to say it's probably more of an aggravation. If you're that age. It could be an annoyance to you because you got them in, you're something you're not used to. Here you are, you're 70s, 80s year old, and it's like after a while, it's like, oh, I don't, because I know someone that was did that.
Well, that happens a lot. The dogs eat them, or they get flushed, or they just disappear. Yeah, so
the dog eating one. I had a friend of mine just recently told me that they had one in each ear, and the dog kept getting them, whatever. And it's like they have cases to put them in there.
Well, because the sound they put off makes
that high frequency sound.
Yeah, and sometimes just dogs like to chew on things. I don't know.
Yeah.
And I've joked around about giving puppies out with purchase of hearing aids. It's a bad joke.
Now, actually, we can suffer hearing losses. Of course, we're talking about at an older age. But we can actually, children can actually suffer hearing loss.
My son was born premature and he's got a hearing loss. He's 10. It's really important to catch children because their speech develops and what have you. So it's really important.
What are some signs? What are some signs that a parent could look for?
Main thing is my son, how we caught it, he just wouldn't listen. He would be watching TV and you would call his name, he wouldn't listen. The teacher started acting like he had this ADD thing going on. And I knew it wasn't a problem, so I tested him and found out he had hearing loss, and he wears his hearing aids and he's fine. It's a lot about just they don't pay attention to what you're saying. They're because children will focus on what they want to hear.
Right.
Anyway.
They have that tunnel. They have that tunnel vision. And tunnel hearing and everything.
He's a little boy, so he's already got a double whammy of it. But yeah, just the fact he wasn't listening, wasn't hearing us. We'd call out his name, he wouldn't listen, so we just tested it. Because he was tested when he was an infant, and the schools do a little test, but it's not very accurate. So yeah, you should go down and have children tested pretty regular, just a quick, trying to get them to pay attention and sit in the booth for more than 5 minutes is a bit of a struggle, but it's still important to do. And adults, I mean, here's a study here shows how through BHI, Better Hearing Institute, studies that show that hearing loss is related to irritability, anger, fatigue, depression, social withdrawal, social rejection, impaired memory, balance, causes job performance. I mean, there's hearing loss affects every facet of your life.
And there's some things that you may not realize that hearing loss is could be caused by. You may not think about alcohol, alcoholism, of course,
medicines,
drug,
almost all your
drug
medications.
abuse.
Yeah, your antibiotics, chemotherapy's murder on it. But, antibiotics, anti-inflammatories, aspirin, just about everything we take is ototoxic. And I wouldn't doubt our food preservatives is some type of ototoxicity to it.
That's why I keep telling you, go to organic food, because that stuff with all the preservatives in it is bad for you.
Yeah, it's probably some truth to it. I mean, you would never get the food industry or the pharmaceutical industry.
Oh, no.
But they have admitted, they know now that antibiotics is a result, is a cause, because they've isolated the chemical, and now they're working on making antibiotics without that chemical that causes the hearing loss.
Right.
So the antibiotics, you ain't got much of a choice, but you got to take your antibiotics.
And as we mentioned, a lot of it has to do with your surroundings, as far as noises, things that that over a period of time. I mean, a lot of work industry down here, loud noises, construction or whatever. You got that jackhammer or whatever going all day. If you're not properly protected,
iPods. That's they're going to be these youngsters running around. 50% of the high school students, they just did a blind study, and 50% of the high school students tested with signs of hearing loss already.
Wow, that's high school.
And that's kind of hard to isolate because, at that age, they're still doing the damage. But you won't be able to prove that until they're in their 30s and 40s. Like I say, it takes 20, 30 years. But 50% of the high school students tested were showing signs of hearing loss already from noise exposure.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Well, if you'd like some more information, got about 30 seconds left here, so if you'd like some more information, numbers on your screen. They're located in the Norwood Village Shopping Center here in Gulfport. You can call and make an appointment to come in and get your hearing tested, or if you have a loved one that you might want to, and see if there is, you are in need of a hearing aid. And there's so much new technology out there when it comes to hearing aids that it's amazing. And we're going to talk about that on another show, so be sure you stay tuned for that. Nelson, Garrett, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Coast Hearing Aid Lab is located again here in the Norwood Village Shopping Center in Gulfport. Just look for the Wendy's on the east side of the road, and it's right behind there.